Steve Wernick, Rabbi Wernick, Reb Steve, one of the rabbis of Beth Tzedec congregation in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Good afternoon, welcome. This is Conversations Over Coffee, our weekly video blog on interesting topics with interesting people about hopefully interesting things. My guest this morning is Dr. Marvin Cooper. Dr. Cooper, Marvin is not only an accomplished and now retired doctor, an eye doctor, but also, I can't say amateur photographer, Marvin. It doesn't seem to be adequate for you. But Marvin is an excellent photographer. And he's a member of our synagogue. And we're really, really happy that he's agreed to not only display some of his work for the last several months within the synagogue, even before COVID began, but also to donate the sales of some of his work as a online auction for Beth Tzedec. That auction will open January 21st at 12 p.m. So it's already open, and it'll close February 8th at 11:59 p.m. All proceeds will go to Beth Tzedec program and services to help us maintain our mission of enabling and inspiring our community to live a meaningful Jewish life. Marvin, let's start with, tell us a little bit about you and how you got into photography.
Well, it started before my bar mitzvah. I had a friend who lived up the street from me on Rushton Road, and he had a darkroom. And he invited me to help him process some photos one day. And as soon as I saw the images come up in the developer, I was hooked. So that started my interest in photography. And throughout the years, during school time, it lay dormant, the passion lay dormant. But about 12 years ago, I was invited into a group of fine art photographers. And since then, I have learned a lot, and hopefully it shows in the images that I've taken. As far as Israel, I started taking pictures there in 1963. And ever since then, when I've returned, I have tried to show different facets of Israel, the people, the land, the sea. And I feel that in this show, I have accomplished that.
Tell us a little bit more about what are some of the things that you've learned in this 12-year journey for more involved photography.
Well, it's interesting. It isn't just photography. The photography has led to many situations that I would not have encountered had I not been photographing. In Israel, I've met many people and who have showed me places, particularly my extended family. They know how interested I am, and they've taken me to places like several of the images that are in the show are from a small Arab town called Jizr az-Zarqa. I hope I pronounced it correctly. It's a very old Arab town that until a couple of years ago was not even attached or connected to the main highway. It's a fishing village. And we spent a day there, and I was fascinated by how beautiful it was. This is one of the images from there. And the people were very friendly and very cooperative. No one refused when I asked if I could take a photo of them. And a lot of people may not be aware of the beaches in the north, but they're beautiful. And also they are very sparsely inhabited, not like the major beaches in Tel Aviv and south, or even in Haifa. It's a beautiful place. And I have several images. There are another one, a fisherman, and it was just a phenomenally relaxing day to see a part of Israel that I feel that many people are unaware of. And obviously, I would have been unaware. This is another image from that town. And behind me is the Mediterranean. But this is a small inlet where I guess there must be fish. But I just found just tremendous beauty in this area, as I have in many other areas.
So tell us a little bit about the way in which you approach this artistically, about light, the choice of black and white versus color. Is there a way in which you develop it differently because there's something you wanna bring out?
Yes, these are all very good questions, particularly people who are interested in photography. With the composition, you notice that there's an individual in the background or the foreground with a white hat, but also the reeds are pointing to the fisherman. And as you look at the fisherman, your eye is drawn by a brighter light. The eye usually follows a brighter light to the town and the mosque in the background. And the proportions of the picture are a pretty standard composition, with 1/3 the sky and 2/3 the lower part of the image. And also there are shadows in the foreground so that your eye flows over the shadows to the fisherman. You look down the water into the bright area in the background. So your eye is goes with the direction of the objects that point you there.
Oh, I'm so like all of that. Do you do that in a split second now when you look in the lens, or before you pull the lens up, you're looking around and you're trying to find a picture that will bring that symmetry, that light, that eye attention that way?
No, anyone who's interested in photography, I would suggest that they keep taking pictures and look at them and try to decide what works and what doesn't work. After you do it long enough, your eye sees the picture before you actually take it, rather than composing it afterwards.
As with all things, it's experience that
It helps.
it helps. So I want to come back to this one a little bit. This is my favorite. I think this is the one I'm going to buy.
Good.
Tell us from your perspective, what caught your attention here? What does this image mean to you?
First of all, when you take something like this, it's rare that you catch it on one frame. And a number of frames were taken, and this was my favorite. And the composition here is, if people are aware of the rule of thirds, the boy jumping is on the right third of the image. Also, there's a triangle in the center framing the two people in the water who are watching him. So your eye goes in almost a circle.
The triangle, yeah.
And a triangle. And the rope is pointing also to the young man jumping, and the oars are pointing toward him. So your eye is drawn to the person who's jumping. In the background, there is a fisherman on each side, but they're small, but add interest, but don't detract from the major subject.
Wow. So you say that one of the things that you've really appreciated about this is not just the photography and the art, but the opportunity to have off the beaten trail kind of experiences and to meet people. What are some of the most interesting experiences that you've had?
One of the images here is of an Ethiopian family, and the show was really to show the diversity in Israel of the different types of people. And I took an image of a an Ashkenazi family and the Ethiopian family. Now, this person was a career soldier, and I asked if I could take a picture of them. And all of a sudden, all the kids just jumped on him, and I caught it there. And he's a wonderful guy, and he introduced me to his two grandmothers. And that at the time I first met them, one grandmother had just brought her husband, who had passed away, to be buried in Israel. And while I was there, I noticed on one of the grandmothers there was a cross on her, tattooed on her forehead. And I asked what it meant. And it was explained that in Ethiopia, they try to diminish their presence as Jews. And this is one of the ways that it was done. This is what I was told. But what they invited me to was a coffee ceremony. And it was a beautiful apartment. And then we went out on the balcony, and they brought a little charcoal fired burner and roasted Ethiopian coffee beans in a pot. And I enjoy coffee, but I've never had just smooth, beautiful tasting coffee. But I'm afraid, I think if people wanted to bring a charcoal burner on their balconies here, I think there might be some people who would object. But it was really an interesting afternoon that I spent with them. Again, it's all because of the photography.
Wow. Let's look at some other photos that we're going to preview.
Oh, this
is talking to God.
Yes, actually not talking, but texting.
Texting to God, right?
And he was in the courtyard of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And I saw him leaning against the wall, and I just laughed to myself because that's what it looked like. This holy man texting. Again, when someone looks at composition, again, this individual is on roughly the left third of the image. And what gives it some depth is that the background is lighter. So there is a definition, and it makes it look like the individual is in 3-dimension and not just flat against the wall. And also the clothes, there's a lot of detail in the clothes, which helps with the image.
And plus the fact that he's perpendicular to the wall. So you can see even in his body that it's different than being flat against the wall.
Yes.
So, well. And then we have this one too. Here we go.
People often ask, what are some of your favorite images? And this is one of them. I was actually sitting on the street waiting for my wife and sister-in-law, who were at the hairdresser. And this gentleman came by, and I saw him very, very slowly. And I was going to take a picture of him. And all of a sudden, by luck, this young person ran past in the background. And in street photography, one often tries to get opposites. And here's the opposite of age, of motion, speed versus slow, and old versus young. So, as I said, this is one of my favorite images.
Well, And what's motivating you to share these images with Beth Tzedec, to set it up as a fundraiser for the synagogue?
Well, this is the third show that I've had at Beth Tzedec. Dorian has been very, very good as a curator, and I was fortunate enough to meet her. And when I first showed my images a number of years ago in the first show, she said that she would like to have them at the synagogue. And each time that we've had a show and images have been sold, donations have been made to Beth Tzedec from that. It's a hobby, and I enjoy the creation of images and learning new techniques to bring out what I feel, what I am trying to accomplish. And where I, at one time, took pictures of landscape, which I still do occasionally, and also even flowers, which many people do. My images of landscape and flower are nothing like when I first started. There are none in this show, but it is very pleasing and enjoyable to be able to have a concept in your mind and create something that not only you enjoy, but I have found other people enjoy. And that has been one of the drivers of trying to better what I'm doing. It's also, I belong to, as I mentioned before, a photography group, which we have bi-weekly meetings, and there's a tremendous amount to learn by excellent photographers. And even today, I'm always learning and enjoy the meetings, and always reading and trying to further this craft.
What are you working on now?
Well, it's interesting. During the COVID, I am digitizing and photographing items that I found in a box after my parents passed away, and I didn't open it till the fall. And I'm still going over it because I'm amazed at what my parents kept in a small box. I have documents from the ships they came to Canada, and my father even saved several menus from the ship. And I have a passport when my father was in Palestine under the British mandate. So I'm trying to digitize all this and make some sort of a book for my family members who may or may not be interested at this time, but hopefully will later on. And I'm trying to, unfortunately, there's no one present now, but in the photographs from Europe, I'm trying to connect faces of my family. Some I don't know, unfortunately, but this is keeping me very busy. And I might mention the cell phone is a wonderful camera, and it's with you all the time. And as everyone in photography knows, the best camera is the one that you have with you. But try to print some of those images, because 10, 20, 50 years from now, your cell phone is not going to be around. What will be around is what you've left on paper. And I think this is very important for families to be aware of, to at least print some of the images of your family, and write on the back dates and names. That would be very helpful down the road for people who are interested in your family heritage. So,
and And it's a great project for while we're, still in lockdown, and for those that might have some time or looking for something to do other than watching Netflix.
No,
Um, Certainly that would be something to do. Is there anyone in your family who's following in your footsteps and has picked up a camera?
except for a cell phone, that's pretty well lit.
That's pretty well it.
I-
All right.
I've tried to encourage them, but each one has their own mind, and that's good too.
All right. Well, Marvin, thank you. This was very interesting. As I said, I'm probably going to buy, excuse me, I'm probably going to buy the one of that kid jumping off the boat. It's not just I guess the thirds of the image, but there's just something about that kid that I find so exciting and dynamic that I want to have that one. We want to let everyone know that the auction is open. You can find it here on our website, www.beth-tzedec.org. And if you search for Marvin Cooper Photography or online auction, it'll come up to this page. And you can follow the link to the auction right here, and then purchase a piece of art, some photography of Israel from Marvin that will certainly add art. I would say color, but it's black and white. But we'll add we'll add a little piece of Israel and something to talk about and appreciate on your wall. Marvin, we wish you well. We wish the auction well. We want to thank you for your time and for your contribution to the synagogue. To everyone else, also check us out on our website for all the activities and opportunities to engage. We may still be needing to practice some physical distance, but we are still spiritually near. And the synagogue, though the building is closed, our sacred community is open 24/7. Want to wish everyone well. Have a good week. Shavua Tov.